Hi everyone, and welcome to our session, continued exploration of happiness. Today I'm going to talk about three things that you should do, three ways you should engage with in order to find happiness. And at the end, I'm going to tell you the ultimate secret to finding happiness. So before I get started, I want to share a parable or a story. And parables and stories can sometimes be helpful, more helpful often than a lot of ideas and concepts. People sometimes really kind of get some of the teachings through stories like this. And the story has to do with true happiness. So this is adapted from a story that Anthony DeMello often tells. Anthony was a Catholic priest. So the story again is about happiness. It's a story of a villager in India who happens upon a sannyasi. A sannyasi is a wandering mendicant who's enlightened in the Hindu tradition. So a villager comes across the sannyasi and says, "I cannot believe this. I had a dream about you last night that the Lord Vishnu said to me. He said, tomorrow morning you will leave the village and you will run into a wandering sannyasi that has a precious stone, and should you give it to me, its value will make me the richest person in the world." The villager then asked, "So do you have such a stone?" The sannyasi began rummaging through his backpack, and after a moment pulled out an object. It said, "Would this be the stone that you saw in your dream?" The villager could not believe his eyes. It was the same stone, a diamond about the size of his fist. He held the diamond with two hands with great care. "Could I have this stone?" he asked. "Of course," the sannyasi said. "Please take it. I found it in the forest and you're welcome to it." The villager took the diamond and went to sit under a tree on the outskirts of the village. He held the diamond close to his heart and experienced great joy. The villager sat under the tree all day, but he eventually returned to the place where the sannyasi was meditating, and he gave the diamond back to him. "I've decided this wasn't what I was looking for, but may I ask, would you do me one more favor?" "What is it?" asked the sannyasi. "Could you give me the inner richness that makes it possible for you to so easily give away this thing that would have made you the richest person in the world?" That you can perhaps get the idea of what that has to do with finding happiness. Once he was the richest person in the world with this diamond, was sitting there, and the happiness kind of wore off rather quickly. It took him a day sitting under a tree and realized that true happiness was actually what he called an inner richness. It was something that was an inner exploration. If you watched last session, you might remember I started with, I asked two questions. I think it was in the question and answer period. I asked two questions. I said, "Are you having a good day? And why?" Let's think about that. Did you have a good day? And why? Or if you had a bad day, why? Tomorrow, would you rather have a good day or a bad day? How about Saturday? Would you rather have a good day or a bad day on Saturday? It's supposed to be 21 degrees or something. So that's me think, well, maybe I will have a good day. So we're kind of like balloons floating in the sky. We're just blowing around at the whim of whatever the wind does. If things go our way, we're happy. And if things don't go our way, we're unhappy. For example, would you be happy tomorrow if you were forced to work with somebody you disliked? Would that affect your happiness? Would your happiness disappear? as long as the answer to the question why has to do with external factors, external circumstances, or the people around you, then you're going to have, it's going to be a problem finding stable and lasting happiness. It's going to be elusive because we can't control external conditions. We can't control what people around us will do. And if that's what our happiness depends on, if our happiness is in the hands of other people or at the whims of whatever might happen in your external environment, then happiness is going to be elusive. Right? You're going to spend a lot of time trying to control your environment, which can in itself cause a lot of unhappiness. So if you really want to be happy every day, not just on Saturdays or Fridays or whatever it might be, there's three things you need to do. The first thing you need to do is stop outsourcing your happiness to external factors, whether it be people or circumstances. You need to stop attributing your happiness to what's going on out there. It's an inside job. Stop blaming others for your unhappiness or circumstances for your unhappiness. The second thing you need to do is realize that a few simple misunderstandings or false beliefs are what gets in the way of touching true happiness. Just a few misunderstandings, or false ideas. It's getting in the way. And I'll talk more about these. And the third thing you need to do is engage in some practices that we'll be talking about actually over the coming weeks. And the practices come in two varieties. The first is to cause happiness to arise as a state of mind, to cultivate a mind that's aligned with happiness. In a way, you're planting the seeds of happiness so that they can then bloom into a happy state of mind. And this includes things like, in the Buddhist tradition, the four Brahma Viharas, the practices directed at cultivating loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. So those are examples of practices that cause a state of mind to be more likely to arise in your life, and perhaps especially in the moment that you're engaging in the practice. So these cultivate this inner peace and happiness regardless of the circumstances that you're in. The idea that you can cultivate this state regardless of what is going on externally. And the second way is to touch into this innate peace and happiness that is your birthright, that is innate within you. It's your true nature. It's always and already present within you. You're simply, I use the phrase stepping back, or stepping back from our fascination with objects, the stuff out there, the thoughts, the objects in our surroundings, and we're stepping back or dipping under all that and touching a deeper essence within ourselves. And when we're touching that, we touch happiness, even if we have good or unfavorable circumstances. That innate peace and happiness is there and can be touched into at any time. So we'll be diving into these two ways: the cultivating a state of mind and the touching our innate peace and happiness in future weeks. In fact, we'll spend a lot of time looking at each one of those in future weeks. But I want to and notice, before I go on, notice that those two methods are both internal happiness. I'm not, there's nothing about going out and trying to find a fist-sized diamond or, find the perfect relationship or the perfect job or whatever it might be. They're all internal practices. But before we dive into those, I want to continue to prepare the groundwork. And I know I've spent some time here, preparing the groundwork, but it's important to do so. So I'm going to go to the second factor, the simple misunderstandings or false beliefs that get in the way of us engaging in these practices. Because if those are getting in the way, no matter how much I talk about the practices, it can be difficult to engage in them. So back to Anthony DeMello, he has a book entitled "Stop Fixing Yourself." It's a nice book. I like his books, and that's another one of his that I enjoyed reading. And in the book, he says, "Can you imagine how liberating it is to never be disillusioned again, to never be disappointed again? You'll never feel let down again, never feel rejected. You want to wake up? You want happiness? You want freedom? Here it is. Drop your false ideas." End of quote. So he's talking about, he uses the phrase false ideas. I think Buddha would call it delusion or confusion. I sometimes call it simple misunderstandings. We just misunderstand how things really are. It's a very simple misunderstanding. It's nothing we do on purpose, and it seems to be a common human trait that we have these. So the first false belief is you cannot be happy without the things that you are attached to and that you find to be precious. That's the first false belief, that you just can't be happy if you don't have all these things that you're attached to, or that you think that you're attached to, that you think you need. In fact, you have everything you need to be happy. If you have your basic needs met, you have everything you need to be healthy and happy. Another false belief is happiness is in the future. Happiness is here right now, in the now. You don't know it because you're caught up in a lot of false beliefs that cause anxieties and struggles in your life. One of the false beliefs is that you're separate self that needs to somehow struggle with life as it is in order to be happy. So that creates a lot of anxieties, fears in your life. Another false belief is happiness will come if you manage to change the situation you are in and the people around you. Happiness will come if I can change the situation I'm in and the people around me. We spend a lot of energy, right, trying to change our environment or others or ourselves. The book was Stop Fixing Yourself. So we often spend a lot of energy trying to fix ourselves, but we're always trying to fix, I'll be happy if I can just get the right circumstances. Remember, it's not your circumstances that make you happy or unhappy. It's all in your mind. It's all in your mind. Remember the last session we talked about being happy when shit happens? And that was about being happy when the really bad circumstances occur in life. So it's not what's happening in the world in any way So the moment you see the truth that nothing in the world can make you happy, you're essentially free. Nothing in the world can make you happy or unhappy. When you see this truth, you are free. You'll stop moving from job to job, from relationship to relationship, from therapist to therapist, from spiritual method to spiritual method. Something I spent much of my life doing, finding the right spiritual method that would somehow get me there, wherever there was, rather than here. So when we see that truth, we stop that mad dash to get just the right circumstances. And deep down, you know this is true, right? Deep down, you know it's true. You've changed many things in your life over the years. Your looks, your personality, your jobs, your lifestyles, maybe relationships. And guess what? You discovered that didn't make you happy. I thought for sure if I change this, I'll be happy. Then you discover, no, it didn't make me happy. So deep down, you know this. You all know this, but for some reason we continue to seek happiness in this way. And then finally, the final false belief is, if all my desires are fulfilled, I will be happy. In reality, these attachments are what makes you unhappy. I'm turning that one right on its head. It's these desires that you're attached to, that you think you need to be happy, that make you unhappy. So you realize that fulfilling each of these desires does not make you happy. You may get some pleasure, may get some thrill, but you're not finding true, lasting happiness. Now, don't mistake that for happiness. So, what can make you truly happy? You've probably tried lots of things, right? Numerous. You've perhaps tried change the external circumstances, change the people around you. Perhaps you've tried some techniques in different books. Perhaps you've tried different spiritual exercises, different spiritual traditions. They all in some way talk about happiness. People are really trying to find the secret formula to find happiness. And you might even be discouraged and confused about it. You might feel, well, where did I go wrong? I tried all these things to be happy, and it's elusive. I'm still anxious. I'm still fearful. And you may come right back around thinking, oh, I need to fix things. I need to fix things in myself even more. Maybe that's what it is. And you can get back to wanting to fix yourself. In my teachings, one of the most common questions I get from people has this element of, what do I need to do to be happy? Maybe worded in different ways. Could be, what do I need to do to get rid of anxiety, or whatever it might be? Or how can I be more compassionate, more generous? So, no, these are just desires that we think we want in order to make ourselves happy. We think these things will make us happy. If this sounds like you, I have I have a message for you, for all of us. You don't have to do anything. In fact, the more you do, the worse it gets. Is that a startling message? The more you do, the worse it gets. And you don't have to do anything. Now I'm going to create a paradox because I'm going to tell you the one thing you need to do. The one and the only thing you need to do is let go of your attachments, to understand them and let go of attachments. Stop judging and trying to fix yourself. And this is Anthony DeMello's message in the book. You're okay. So stop judging, stop trying to fix yourself. What you can do is simply notice and observe moment to moment your experience. Simply observe and notice. So be aware. The guided meditation I did before the group was just all about stepping back from the show of life, stepping back and holding it in awareness. Because when we participate in life in this way, we're actually just with the flow of life, and this word can be confusing. We're actually in control of life because we're with life. We're not controlling life, but we're in control of what happens in our life next, because we're doing so from a place of wisdom rather than being reactive. So simply observe and notice. Here's another truth. I like this from Anthony DeMello as well. His truth is all is well. I like the way he just sums things. You could do a whole series of talks on that statement. 3 words, all is well. And you're okay is another one. He just kind of says it the way it is.